Welcome to the podcast.
This is our battle
with
cry.
Cassidy.
Hello? So if this is going to be our battle cry, I guess I'm committing to always having a matcha latte when I record my episodes. But I've gotten into a really good routine. So if you've been tuning in, watching week after week, this is the third episode on video on the podcast. I feel like I have a whole new show. I feel like you guys feel like you have a whole new show because you can see me now. And I don't know if that's changed anything for you. I'd actually be curious to know if you're still listening to audio. Maybe you're driving to work, commuting, folding laundry, cooking, or maybe I'm up on your TV. If I'm on your TV, send me a pic. Don't send me any videos. I don't need to hear my voice. Just send me a pic and be like, what's up, girl? Because the quality of this is so, like, I am obsessed with doing this. I was already obsessed with doing this. And based on everything I've been sharing in the last couple of episodes about balance and wellness and like not sprinting, I've had to stop myself. I'm like, oh, maybe I could do multiple episodes a week because I love doing it so much. We're still on the one up a week, one day. Before I get into today's topic, I wanted to tell you guys about last night. I had the most LA night. I mean, I've had a lot of LA experiences now that I've been here going on 3 years. But I will never get over it. Like, the honeymoon is far from over, and that's not what this is about. But yesterday was just so surreal. So the day before that, I got an email because, for context, I have been searching. I've been like, okay, how do I get on the lists? Because I've been trying to get tickets to John Mulaney. I really want to go see John Mulaney, and his live show that's on Netflix is hosted in LA, and I was trying to get tickets to that. So I think because I was trying to get tickets to that, I somehow ended up on these email lists, and I got an email the day before yesterday that was secret comedy show, secret guest lineup, past guests include like all comedians that I knew, and it just said respond if you want to go. Respond your party size, how many people, will let you know if you made the list. And I responded for 2, got tickets. So free comedy tickets. Okay. This is why show me how good it can get works. If you don't know what I'm talking about, my mantra in life is show me how good it can get. I say it out loud every single day. This is why I get free tickets to a comedy show. So we booked it over in a Waymo after work to Hollywood. Now, I feel I'm going to start talking more about Hollywood and just like the crazy experience of being in LA. I'll save that for another episode because I kind of want to do a review on California. Let me know if you want that. But we're schlepping over to Hollywood, and Hollywood, compared to where I live in Venice, Hollywood is like being in the internet. Like, you've stepped into the internet. It is so chaotic. It is so crazy. There's so many stores, stars, obviously so cool. I'm like looking at every single one, taking pictures like a tourist, and I never will stop because it is insane that I live here. Like, it's just insane. So anyways, we go get dropped off. We're trying to figure out what the deal is. It was at the Kookaburra Lounge, which was in this building called the Ovation. So I know all of these details are not necessary, especially if you have no plans on ever coming to LA. But the thing that was surprising to me to find out was like how they, like where they host every movie premiere is where I was last night. And the ESPYs were happening at the same time as we were trying to get into the show. So since it was a mystery show, I was like, wait a second. We started walking through, and I'm like, all the people were wearing, like workers were wearing ESPY polos. And I'm like, are we going to the ESPYs? Like, there's no way they would just like say comedy show and send us to the ESPYs. But there were a lot of athletes. There was a lot of chaos going on, and they had the red carpet all set up. So they were already tearing that down. And it's just really trippy to be standing at the center of like, oh, like every award show that I see online, or like everything that I've ever seen, movie premiere from a distance, from not being in California, like this is where it takes place. It's just so random. Like, feels like Times Square. If you've ever been to Times Square in New York, it feels like Times Square. the heart of Hollywood. So it was really fun. Multiple comedians. I was hoping that it would be like Adam Sandler or like someone, Dave Chappelle, of course. Like I'm always, show me how good it can get. It pays off. But also went into it saying, if every comedian that comes out I've never seen in my entire life, like I still don't care. I still don't care. So we go to the show and it was like 2.5 hours long. Sat in the front row, by the way, because I love this shit. I love comedy shows. The fact that I get to just randomly on a weeknight go be so up close and personal with so many artists, because that's what comedians are. They're like practicing their art. And even just sitting in the front row and seeing them, I was actually just telling my friend before I started recording that it was really cool to see comedians testing jokes. So they were like, some of them had their iPhones like on the little stool. Some of them had like little like flip notebooks, and you could tell they were kind of like looking back at it. So they probably had like a certain amount of time, maybe like 10 minutes or whatever. And then they were kind of like looking down at their notebook, looking down to see, and then they would like bring something in, or they would try to find a way in. If you're not a speaker, comedian, artist, facilitator, any of those things, like maybe what I'm saying doesn't make sense to you, but for me, it really resonated. I have literally sat in a room by myself and talked to myself and had to edit it. So it's very different where it's not live. I've had a lot of live experiences, but basically what I'm saying is like, I love watching people who are unafraid to be seen trying. Like it inspires me so much, and I will schlep anytime again to go to another show like that. Some of the comedians that we saw were from a lot of shows that my husband and I watch. So it was just a really fun date night. And again, like I cannot believe that this is I can believe it. I try not to say that actually. I try not to say I can't believe it, because like I want to believe it. I don't want to like not believe it, but it's just so surreal. So yeah, a 10-minute story about a night in LA, going to a surprise comedy show, running into the ESPYs, grabbing a fry at McDonald's on the way there because we were starving and we weren't really sure what the food situation was going to be. So yeah, just another day in LA. That was just a random Wednesday. And then to get home late. So I'm just kind of not firing on all cylinders. So that's also why I wanted to tell you this story, because I am more and more just like, nah, like I'm just going to go into my studio and like talk to my girls, go catch up with my friends, share the things that they need to hear from me today. And even though I'm feeling tired, I kind of have a headache. That's the perfect segue. That is the perfect conversation that we are going to be having today. So today's topic is how to start investing in your health when you feel low on resources. This was a question that somebody asked me on Instagram months and months ago, like a long time ago, and it's stuck out in my mind ever since. It really resonated with me because I know exactly what it feels like to look at your bank account, look at your schedule, and think, I don't have enough to prioritize myself right now. I know the feeling. It's almost like two magnets, like the tension of two magnets, like the force. Whoa, I'm getting crazy and hitting the mic over here. I'm going to put this down. But just really thinking about it, like, oh God, I need to take care of myself. I am crumbling. I am like, I need to invest in myself, but I just can't right now. I need to be realistic. Like those thoughts that come out. Actually, if you've ever said, I need to be more realistic, I almost said we're in a fight, but I also almost said you're grounded. If you have ever said, I need to be more realistic, you're going to get a lot out of this episode. The main takeaway that I want you to get from this conversation today is the answer to the question of today's topic. So the answer to the question, how to invest in your health when you feel low on resources. Let your body experience freedom and peace before it arrives. Your nervous system needs proof. Your nervous system needs proof that safety, that peace, that freedom, that wealth, that health, are safe before it lets them in. I know that I spent way too many years in this loop, so I'm willing to bet that some of you might be still in this loop of telling yourself, when I have more time, I'll start that morning routine. When I have more money, I'll invest in that program. When I have more money, I'll eat healthier food. Or when I'm less stressed, I'll focus on my movement. I'll wait. I learned this the hard way. And what is true about my healing now that I can look back on the last however many years, my life, I changed my own life the most when I had no money. Not because I suddenly found resources, but because I changed my thoughts. I changed what I was allowing myself to feel on a daily basis. I, at the time, had just quit a 6-figure job, so I had zero income. I had zero idea of what it was going to be. And I've said this a million times, but I just know that so many of you are like this. Like, I'm not going to make a move until I have the next move lined up. When I stopped doing that is when everything changed, because I changed my thoughts. I felt safer jumping from lily pad to lily pad, like the ones that I could see, if that makes sense. Not knowing that if I'm willing to jump as far and as fast as I can, that there's going to be a lily pad there by the time I land. And it's going to be one that is like way better than anything that I could ever create or imagine or make happen for myself. So I had just quit my 6-figure job. I had zero idea of what my income was going to be. And I had already made the decision that I was going to start moving differently, thinking differently, treating myself differently. I had zero idea of what my income was going to be, which, like I said, I'd been working since I was like 14 years old, jumping from job to job to job, always making sure that I had a consistent stream of income because I was afraid that if I didn't, what would happen? I was so burnt out. So at this point, when I made the decision to leave my tech job, I couldn't afford a gym membership. I couldn't afford to go buy organic, whatever, all organic food. I definitely could not afford a life coach, which is probably what I needed at the time. But I was miserable, and I realized, and like, a lot of the times when I'm sharing this stuff with you guys, I'm sharing realizations like on the other side. It's often that I'm looking, because hindsight's always 2020, right? But I realized that for so long, I was waiting for my external circumstances to change before I was willing to take action. I was leaving my windows wide open to every stressor, every external circumstance, every excuse. And I was essentially telling my nervous system, we're not safe to feel good until we have more. So my nervous system was permanently in fight or flight. Because this script was flipped for me and I started to see the changes that I had been trying to force for years, I just want to ask you, what if we redefined what it actually means to invest in your health and well-being? I wish more people knew this. Because the truth is, investing in your health, investing in your well-being has nothing to do with the biohacking and the supplements and the gym memberships and like having stuff and buying and acquiring shit. It is about changing what you allow yourself to feel daily. It is about giving yourself permission to feel the feelings that you're waiting for. If you're feeling like you don't have resources, audit your resources. If you're listening to me right now, you have electricity or Wi-Fi or whatever way, like that's a resource. You've exchanged value, you've exchanged money for the resource, for the value of the resources, for the clothes that you're wearing, for the air conditioning that you're sitting in. And I also want to talk about resources and what qualifies as a resource, because so many of us view money as our only resource, but we have so many resources available to us. Time and attention are insanely valuable. So maybe you're wanting to invest in your health. Maybe you're like, I need to invest in my well-being and I don't have the money to do that right now. That doesn't mean you can't. Time and attention are just as valuable, if not more valuable than money. And I know this because those are the resources that I used to invest in my health. Let me just paint you a picture of where I was. I was so broke that it took me like a month of back and forth deliberation of like trying to decide if I'm going to buy this $10 Amazon yoga mat. It was like the cheapest yoga mat that they possibly offered on Amazon. And I still couldn't even commit to that. I was back and forth and I would think about it. I'd put it in my cart. I mean, it stayed in my cart. It was one of those items, where like you keep it in the cart and then you move it to save for later, but you still have your eye on it and you plan on moving it back to the cart because you plan on getting it. And like for $10, And while I was agonizing over my yoga mat, I was giving away my most precious resource for free to the yoga mat. Like, I was giving away my time. I was giving away my attention. I was giving away my energy. And if you listened to last week's episode about wellness advice, the decision fatigue is what gets you. Spending more time thinking about buying the yoga mat than actually just freaking buying the damn thing. Because how many other things that cost $10 have you bought that you don't even give a single thought to? You're just like, oh yeah, boom, done. The thing that made the biggest difference wasn't buying anything. And that was important. That was like a very important lesson for me to learn, because I was in a place where I wasn't scrambling for money. I wasn't scrambling for like trying to get money to buy this thing. Like, for example, when I used to be a waitress and I needed to make my car payment, I would just like pick up a double and then just like scramble and like make the money for my car payment. And I was just basically figuring things out like day to day. And when I kind of made this flip into protecting what I already had and really valuing all of my resources, I started putting my phone on Do Not Disturb, which rumor has it, her phone is still years later in Do Not Disturb permanently. I got strict about my morning and evening boundaries with technology. I stopped scrolling myself into a panic spiral first thing in the morning and last thing at night. And I really, like, this sounds stupid, it sounds obvious, but I simply just carved space out for me to just be. To be a silly little girl watching her shows or baking cookies or cooking or meditating or whatever my soul needed in that moment. This is what I mean by giving yourself permission to rest and create space for a new narrative. So I started moving differently and it wasn't stark. So over time, instead of immediately jumping into productivity mode the second I woke up, I would make my coffee and I would put on jazz music. Like if I close my eyes and think about when I was just really trying to get through, like just trying to get through, man. I can like think of when I first started playing jazz music in the morning. So when I used to go to New York City, when I used to go to cities, I just always loved the feeling of like New York City coffee shops and like sitting down at a table with a coffee and like getting into it. I always felt really energized at coffee shops in Denver as well. And when I first started to kind of like take control, take my attention back, take my time back, take some space for myself in the morning to really establish how I wanted to feel throughout the rest of the day, I put on a jazz playlist, which I still have the playlist if you guys want it. I put on some jazz music in the morning as I was making coffee. So I was bringing that feeling that I felt or have felt in coffee shops, that I just feel so alive and connected in those settings. And I was bringing that feeling into my own kitchen. So I was creating that feeling for myself. I would journal. So in my journaling routine, I would journal about how I wanted to feel in my body, how I wanted to feel in my day-to-day life, instead of dwelling, obsessing over every single thing that was wrong. And I wrote about all of this in my journal as if I already had the peace, the freedom that I was craving. I started talking to myself in this morning routine, in this environment only. So like the expectation that we just make this switch into like self-care, I'm fully invested and I'm the version of myself I want to be. Like, that's not going to happen. Using the morning. I've done 2 episodes on morning routine and I will do more if you guys want, but I'm just talking about how specifically in this time, I would just put on some jazz music. Like, I would just put on some jazz music in the routine that I already had at home, and it started to hit different. I started to talk to myself like I was already worthy of care, not like it was a problem to be solved. The jazz music, the moving slower, the putting my phone on do not disturb, all of these things did not cost me a single dollar, but they changed my life. The thing that I want to get across to you guys today is when you start giving your body the experience of peace now, it creates space for that abundance to actually enter your life. Your nervous system, like I was mentioning earlier, your nervous system starts to believe, oh, we're safe to feel good. We're safe to receive care. We're safe to thrive. The most powerful investment that you can make in your health is never going to be financial. It is the decision to start practicing peace before you think you're ready for it. Here are some practical ways that you can invest in your health today, low on resources. Give yourself permission to rest in short spurts. Okay, I'm going to paint a picture for you here. So imagine I gave you a 10-gallon bucket of water, a giant bucket filled all the way to the top with water. And I said, can you carry that down the beach for me? Most women, freaking hiking up the pants, cracking the neck, cracking the knuckles, getting in the zone, like locking in on this heavy bucket of water and pick it up and prepare to carry it the entire way to push through the pain, push through the exhaustion, push through whatever it takes to get to the end. I'm just asking, what would happen if you stopped every couple of feet and just took a break? Put the bucket down, shake out your arms, breathe for a second, look around, pick it back up. You would probably get there faster with less strain, and you might even enjoy yourself. This is exactly what we're not doing with our daily lives. We are trying to carry the 10-gallon bucket of our responsibilities, our stress, our to-do lists, our people-pleasing, our perfectionism all damn day without putting it down. Guess what? There's no reward. There's no prize. There's no cash money bonus for caring the most, for thinking that you're pushing harder than everyone else. You don't get a reward for that, just so you know. And now knowing what we know, because we've looked so much at the science, rest isn't earned. Rest is not earned. Rest is required. And it doesn't have to be this big production. So go back to the example for a second. It's like the reason we feel like, oh, well, I'm just going to push through and like 10 and 2, white knuckle, head down, roll the windows up and just drive as fast as I can to get there. I'll rest when I'm done. That's why we do that. I'll rest when I'm done. But what we don't remember is that when we're done, we think of the other thing that we wanted to do. So we use our gasless tank. I was basically just trying to say like running on fumes. Anyways, we have this expectation basically that we should be able to push through. We should be able to get it done. And we have this belief that once we get to the other side, once we have the days off, once we don't have to work anymore, once we make the money, once we have the successful launch, then we can rest then. Now, making rest a big production is something I'm willing to bet you've probably never done in your entire life. So why do you have this expectation that you're like going to get to it at some point? Oh, I'm like feeling a little intense because you guys really liked last week's episode, the wellness advice that I'd give you if I wasn't afraid to hurt your feelings. If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen. It's a good one. It definitely has some nuggets that you need to hear, but you guys liked it so much. And I'm like, okay, I feel like you're asking for more. Like, I feel like you want me to keep yelling at you. I'll hold your hand. Okay, so let's go back to figuring out how the bucket example of like setting it down every so often, taking a break. Oh, that was Aussie. Taking a break, mate. And looking around, taking a breath, enjoying yourself, allowing yourself to have fun. So what does this actually look like in your real life? if you're going to the grocery store, if you're going anywhere in your car, I dare you to sit for your car. Can you tell I'm tired? I dare you to sit in your car for 5 minutes. No social media. No listening to this. No listening, just stillness, silence. Can you do it? And it's not like a can you, can't you? I can't, so I'm just going to go in. Can you? Like, I dare you. 5 minutes. 5-minute pockets here and there before you run into the grocery store, before you go pick up your kids. Your meeting ends early. You're not producing anything. You're not consuming anything. You're not scrolling. You're not responding to anyone. You are just with yourself, existing. One of my favorites is putting the phone in the other room. So like not even giving yourself the opportunity to open it out of habit, putting your phone in the other room and taking your coffee, taking your matcha, taking your drink outside and just like doing that. Something you're already doing, you just need to rearrange the logistics. Here's a story of how this like bucket example has translated in my own life recently. This summer, I'm just finishing up 3 very full courses. 3 courses that have 8 to 10 modules each with lessons. I mean, it's like absolutely insane what I've been producing, and I'm excited about it. This course is so exciting. The content, I love what I'm teaching. And old me would have, once I had made up my mind that I was going to create these courses, I would have only done that until I finished. So powered through, staying up late, getting up early, skipping meals, ignoring my body signals, not doing Burger Friday with my husband. I would skip working out because it took too much time. I'm different now. So in this summer, when I've been creating these programs, it has looked like going to more hot yoga. In my deep focus days, set a timer for every 2 hours. So I have a whole routine, and let me know if you guys want to get in on this. I have a whole routine on like getting into my flow, basically getting into flow state, getting into focus state. And knowing what I know now about the brain, about creativity, about the ability to work, our brain really only does well with like 2 hours at a time. So I'll get into my flow, I'll set the environment, I'll set a timer for 2 hours, and I will dive in deep and focus. Now, when the timer goes off, I had to put down whatever I was doing and take a break. Sometimes I would just like breathe, get up, stretch, go outside. I'd go play with Bodhi, my dog. I would take him outside. Sometimes I would just stare out the window because I have a beautiful view. The crazy thing about this, so I'm basically saying this right now as a hope to send this message to my past self. The project, the 3 full courses, like the insane level of what I have created this summer has gotten done better and faster than if I had just completely put all my other shit to the side and pushed through. Your nervous system needs these micro moments of safety to remember that you are not actually being chased by a bear. Your nervous system needs these moments of safety to be reminded that, in fact, you are not being chased by a bear. It was an email from your boss. We are all just out here like living our lives. And I don't know if anybody has ever told you this. So in case they haven't, you can put the bucket down. Plus, I think I mentioned, I may have just said this already. I can't remember if I just said this, but the work that I've produced because I've followed this type of schedule, you guys, best I've ever created. I mean, what I'm creating right now, the podcast is getting better and better and better and better because I'm taking really good care of myself. I'm harnessing my focus and I am prioritizing my nervous system first. Okay, that was kind of a long one. But basically giving yourself permission to rest in short spurts, huge investment in your health. Okay, so the next one is creating space to craft a new narrative. Journaling is one of my favorite tools. I don't assume that just because it works for me, it'll work for you. Maybe you like to talk about things, but basically the reason I like journaling for this example only is it's hard to create a new narrative verbally. So like, for example, I actually was just talking to someone this week, so I'm going to use this example. She is so impressive. Like, so impressive. Her rap sheet, her whatever, her history, everything that she's built, I could see it on my laptop. And then I had a meeting with her. And when I had a meeting with her, I said to her, I was like, oh my God, when I met you, you didn't say any of this. Like, you just said that you did this. Like, she so undersold herself the first time that I met her. And then once I had a chance to like get to know everything that she's done, I was like, girl, why aren't you bragging in the streets about this? Like, what? And it's a lot of work to say and own the identity that like, I'm an entrepreneur. I am this. And I talk about this a lot inside Nourish Without Numbers with the women who are trying to rewire their relationship with food. But crafting a new narrative and using the journaling method, using writing instead of speaking, is easier. It's an easier way to like create a new neural pathway in your brain. And it's easier to, like, when when you're writing something, or even if you're typing, but like if you're writing something, once you start writing in a certain tense, so, or like third, first, second person. So it's like, I'm writing in first person and I'm writing in the tense as if I already have the things that I desire. Once I start writing about that, like, I'm just like flowing. But if I'm trying to say it out loud, for example, I'm a successful creative entrepreneur. I make passive income every single day. Saying that before I truly believe it in my soul, it's not going to hit the same. It's almost like your words are more powerful when they're just like, when the energy behind it matches where you're trying to go. This is kind of like a random thought, but whatever you do, it's just creating space to craft a new narrative. And you need to do this at least once a day. So is it in the morning? Is it in the evening? In the morning, do you talk in your phone? Because like, you don't have to journal. You can talk if you wish. Oh my God, does it sound like shit when I hit this mic? I'll find out in post. But basically, creating the new narrative every single day, inch by inch by inch by inch. All of a sudden, automatically, you're this new person. Like, I can't tell you what it feels like to wake up today and be the creative entrepreneur that is successful, that has a successful podcast, that has brands like emailing me every day, that gets sales notifications in my inbox, that literally is sitting in front of the nicest camera I've ever seen and in the nicest podcast studio I've ever even couldn't even dreamed of. So I made space for the new narrative to start to be normal. And then it snowballed and like, here I am in a whole new identity. If you see yourself as the successful creative, if you see yourself, that's this person that I'm referring to, start acting like it. And you have to practice acting like it basically before it actually becomes the real reality. Okay, number 3. So again, we're talking about very practical ways to invest in your health when you feel low on resources. Number 3 is use what's available to you. It might seem obvious, especially since I'm talking to a bunch of women. Necessity is the mother of invention. But when you're looking around, first of all, we've already talked about the narrative, the mindset. If you're telling yourself you don't have resources, then shit, you're not going to have any resources. Ask yourself, push up against what you have already told yourself is true. What resources do you have? The resource that you do have is this podcast. This is a free podcast with hours and hours of science-based, evidence-based wellness coaching, pretty much. There are people who have gotten so much, they've transformed their lives just by listening to this podcast. Free. Nature is free. YouTube. So I didn't mention this when I was talking about my $10 Amazon yoga mat. When I did end up inevitably buying it and getting into yoga, I had spent so much already on yoga. So I didn't want to, invest any more money in it. So I did a 30-day yoga challenge on YouTube. It was yoga with Adriene. Guys, fast forward. Now all of a sudden I'm this like Southern California yogi who can go to hot yoga 5 times a week. Like, crazy. But in taking the time to make the mindset shift from I don't have to what do I have? Makes a huge difference. Okay, last one. Pay attention to your attention. There are only so many hours in the day, and we all get the same 24, as they say. That's not what this is about. what this is about is your attention is your most valuable resource. More valuable than money, more valuable than time, because how you use your attention determines the quality of everything else. I want to ask you something. What are you really good at? Like, what is something that you are genuinely confident in? You're like, no doubt in my mind, yep, I've got that. For me, it's baking. I am so confident in my baking. I love baking. I love baking for people because I know that they're going to love what I make. I don't second guess myself. I don't overthink it. I just know that I'm good at it. Tell me what that is for you. What is one thing that you're just like, nailed it? How did you get confident in that thing? How did you become confident in that thing? Because me, how I got confident in baking, I used my resources of time and attention over the years. Of course, money, because you have to buy ingredients, but like mostly time and attention. Over the years, I've been baking like for as long as I can remember, since I was a wee girl. And what have I done? I've fucked up a lot. I fuck up recipes. I learn from my mistakes. I keep practicing. I try things. I test things. And the way that I've become confident in baking was by baking. So the way that you become confident in your self-care is by using your attention to focus on it. This might be 30 minutes in the morning only, 10 minutes in the morning only, 20 minutes at the end of the day, 1 hour, whatever it is. But this just needs to be a concentrated focus on and honoring, what do I need right now? I dare you, because I'm willing to bet so many of you. So when this episode goes live, we're about halfway through the year right now. And if you're listening to this in real time or anytime, but like true check-in. Okay, it's halfway through 2025 right now. How much of your vacation time have you used? Does it roll over? And also, are you willing to, because this is like one of my favorite wins with the people that I work with when they text me and they're like, I took a Tuesday off just because I felt like it. Can you? Will you? Do you dare? And do you dare to fill that Tuesday with nothing? You're not allowed to do chores. You're not allowed to organize your closet. You do nothing or honor, what do I need right now? Not what did I plan to need? So, okay, I'm going to take next Thursday or Friday off. I plan to need this, or not what I think I should need. What do I actually need? This is like a self-care meter. And if you've been neglecting it, you're going to have to learn. There's a learning curve into like, okay, tuning in, balance. What is this? What do I actually need? And as you start to get more comfortable listening to your self-care meter, you might realize on some days, oh, I need movement today, big time. Some days you might be like, dang, like I really need some quiet and some stillness. This morning, I did not need movement. I did not need other people. I was at a comedy show until midnight last night, and there was so much energy and so many different stories and just so much happening. This morning, I meditated for 30 minutes. I literally just increased the time by 10 minutes, got comfortable in front of my red light. And it's almost like I allowed my brain and body to catch up with each other, because last night I got home late. I was in a very energetic, rambunctious environment, and I just pretty much like went to sleep. So if I didn't take the time to just like reset myself and center, you might even notice that I have my eyes closed right now. Like I would have came in here like, blah, 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 and like, I'm already kind of like that. So you can only imagine. This reminds me of a story that happened a couple of months ago, and it's not super revolutionary at all, but in the context of this conversation, it definitely applies, because a couple of months ago, I realized that I had this expectation that if I didn't work out in the morning, if I didn't make a yoga class or do any sort of movement before 8 a.m., then I just wasn't going to work out that day. So if I slept in, then I wasn't working out. Or if I had a meeting, there was a time that I had a lot of early meetings because of my time zone, and it was conflicting with my favorite yoga class. And I remember I had a really busy something happening, and I wasn't able to make it to my favorite yoga class. And instead of just surrendering to that idea of like, oh, well, you're busy, so you can't go to yoga today, I was like, well, I don't know, just like a thought popped into my head. Like, they have other classes. Maybe my favorite teacher's teaching at another time. So I looked at the schedule and my favorite teacher was teaching at 11 that day. Now, if you work in corporate or if you work for someone else, I understand. Like, that's not an option always. But this is why I've designed my life the way that I've designed it, so that I could take a yoga class in the middle of the day. And God damn it, I wasn't even doing it. So I got up that day. I had a super productive morning and I went to yoga at 11 a.m. on like a Tuesday. Same benefit, different timing, honoring what I need versus actually what I think I should do. There's been so many times where I've woken up when I'm way too tired and gone to yoga because I feel like I have to, gone to the workout, gone to do whatever. I'm not of that camp anymore. So the more you practice this check-in, the more confident you become in your own self-care. As you do it more and more, you're like trusting yourself to know what you need versus second guessing everything that you are not doing. One of the most common barriers that I work through with the women that I work with is when they start to use their attention. So like, we think that paying attention means that we never change our mind, that we never adjust our plans, that we never deviate from the perfect routine. And this really isn't about being perfect. I think you get that at this point. I'm going to assume that based on you listening to me, guys, this chair literally is like now over here to the side. And I don't know. I feel like I just need to finish this episode. I can feel such a difference in like how silly and weird and whatever I am after not getting enough sleep last night. Okay. So we've talked about like the perfectionism, the expectation angle, but we haven't talked about the consistency. So when you feel low on resources and you feel like you can't invest in your health, invest in your well-being, you're like, there's no damn way I'm going to be able to be consistent. So some people think that consistency means doing the same thing every day. And like in some ways it does. But what if, in the context of this conversation, you decide that consistency isn't doing the same thing every day. It's using my discernment to decide what I need today. Monday, I cared for myself with a sauna session. Tuesday, I was able to go to yoga. Wednesday, I went for a long walk. Thursday, I had a meditation. Friday, I slept in. The point isn't, I only went to yoga 3 times this week. The point is, every day I cared for myself based on what I needed that day. That is what consistency is. That is what sustainability is. That is what it means to pay attention to your attention and create a life that actually supports you. Now, before I let you go, let's do a little science. Let's do a little nervous system science, because I feel like whenever I share these stories and then I pair it with the science, you're like, oh, damn, undeniable. She's right. I have to listen to her. Also, I think one of the comedians was Southern last night. Oh my God. Okay, so here's what's happening inside of your body when you do this work. When you practice peace, when you experience freedom, when you experience abundance before it arrives, your body is listening. That's the thing. That's the thing. Your body is listening all the time. Our body keeps score. So even when we think, oh, like I've thought my way out of that one, your body is listening to how you talk to it, how you treat it, and what you believe is possible for it. Every single day, every single moment, you are either sending signals of safety or signals of threat. When you push through the pain, when you ignore your needs, when you tell yourself, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough resources, your nervous system is getting the message that you're not safe to rest, that you're not safe to receive care, and that you're not safe to thrive. I need you to feel safe so that you can thrive. When you start giving your body the experience of peace now, before you think you're ready for it, before you have the perfect circumstances, it is like magic, you guys, something magic. It's like a switch flips because your nervous system, it's not magic, it's science. Your nervous system starts to believe, oh, we are safe to feel good. Oh, we're worthy of care. We're worthy of success, abundance, overflow. We can thrive. This is why the original insight from the beginning of this episode is so powerful. Let your body experience freedom and peace before it arrives. All of a sudden, you're no longer waiting for your external circumstances to change. All of a sudden, you're not waiting for more money. You're not waiting for more time. You're not waiting for more energy. You're just giving your body proof right now that it is safe to be cared for. And when you start giving your body the experience of peace now, it literally creates space for abundance to enter into your life. Do you like how every single word I rotated? Okay. I need to get out of here. I'm just kidding. I literally could be in here all day. That's my issue. So here's what I want you to do. Takeaways, action items, homework, if you will. I want you to pick one way to invest in your health today. So if you're listening to this episode and you're already feeling low on resources and listening to this episode gave you a surge of inspiration and ideas, that's amazing. But I don't want you to get so extreme that you get tired and then you don't want to show up again by the end of the week. I want you to show up today and today only in one way. And I don't want you to spend any money. I want you to spend your time or your attention on your health, on your well-being, on your care, on making yourself feel safe. Maybe it's just putting your phone in Do Not Disturb for an hour or permanently like me. I mean, I highly recommend it. Maybe it's taking 5 minutes to sit outside. You're at the office and you're just like, okay, I'm going to go outside today and I'm going to sit outside for 5 minutes and I'm going to ask myself, what does my self-care meter need right now? And actually listening to the answer and actually doing it. Because guys, you have all the resources you need. You have it all within yourself. You have all of the answers. You have the time, you have the attention, you have the power to change how you feel. So hopefully you already feel it right now. Maybe you do. Start giving your body the experience of peace right now. Your future self. The one who's thriving, the one who's abundant, the one who's living the life you're dreaming of. That person is going to thank you for making this choice today. And something just ding, I got a little ding idea in my mind of something that, speaking of yoga, one of my favorite yoga teachers says in practice. Peace is a practice. That's it. That's the message. Peace is a practice. You want to feel more peace? Start practicing more peace. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.